I created a video discussing the Marvel's movie situation, and amidst the ongoing conversations about the MCU, and the one thing I want to go in saying is that you guys should definitely check out Loki because it's basically the only thing that the MCU has working for it right now, at least at the time of this video, specifically Loki Season 2. Let me emphasize that. Now, onto the common trend where creators or showrunners or directors are expected to blame fans for a movie's failure.
It's all your fault.
This whole tongue-in-cheek response seems to be the go-to approach when a film doesn't do well. People mockingly anticipate directors and creators bashing fans for the movie's failure. My movie doesn't do well, it's everybody else's fault, and the minority of people who might be saying something that I don't like or agree with. There's never any interest in why the audience might not have liked the movie. What these people fail to remember is that a lot of the people who buy tickets don't really leave reviews, like majority of them. Most normal people will see a trailer and think to themselves, gee, I'm not interested in seeing that, or I'd rather see something else. You know, especially with money being so tight, people have to be very choosy about what they choose to watch. This is especially the case because a lot of movies that have come out of the past years have been trash. So you can't really blame people on being shy and choosy about their money. The quality has gone down for entertainment, and you're asking them to spend more money, not just in money, but also in their time for a movie that more likely, based on the trajectory of how movies have been doing, might suck. Also, Marvel and Disney have not really had a good track record as of late, so you can't really blame people for looking at a movie and seeing how all the others did and deciding not to go the route of paying for a movie that might just suck in the end, and they get let down again. Now, Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was one of those movies that if people go, or anyone who did actually go to see it, they actually liked it, and they would refer people to it. They would refer other people to it and tell them, hey, you gotta watch this. I did the same thing. I told as many people as I could about Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and that they should definitely go and see it. Even the people who hate Disney with a passion, who were ambivalent about this, saw my passion for it, and they decided to go and see it, and they were not disappointed. And guess what happens? I know, shocking, right? Turns out that word of mouth is still more important than you think. Those people went out and took their families and friends to go see it again. Weird how that works, right? Attempting to manipulate Rotten Tomatoes reviews and disparaging the audience doesn't seem to yield positive results. You know, and this has been proven over and over again, yet they keep on doing the same thing over and over again like insanity. The key to attracting viewers to theaters lies in creating a product that resonates with and is genuinely appreciated by the audience. Labeling the audience with insults and generalizations, especially without this comprehensive understanding of the specific reasons behind each individual's dislike of the movie, all it serves to do is show that you were out of touch and somewhat entitled in handling the situation. And that's what this article on CBR covers. The Marvel's director reacts to MCU films' woke criticism. Okay, I have to be honest, I have a strong aversion to the term woke. It seems to be used indiscriminately now and then, and it's a trend I consciously avoid on my channel. You'll notice, I only employ it in response to someone using it as a descriptor in a question or the subject matter, and then I use quotations to address it. However, similar to the terms racist and homophobic and misogynist, many of these words have undergone a loss of significance. People no longer accord them the seriousness that they warrant, which is actually harmful. But that's another subject for another video. Regardless, I understand the sentiment conveyed when people use the term woke. However, it's crucial in my opinion to actually provide a clear explanation on why a movie is disliked or considered ineffective rather than just labeling it as woke without substantiating the reasoning behind the term being used on such movie. I'll give you an example. I'm not saying everybody has to feel exactly the same way, but a lot of us enjoyed, as I said before, season 2 of Loki. I will continue to talk about it because it was hella epic. A lot of people are of the mind that I'm unreasonable and I hate everything, which only proves that they haven't been around my channel for very long. This channel is about me being a regular girl talking about things I like or don't like, and I am going to be 100% honest what I feel no matter what people call me. Regardless of my personal feelings towards Disney, if they produce a commendable product, I'm sorry, I'm inclined to give credit where it's due. I acknowledge the sentiments of those who have been disappointed by Disney's history, leading them to be hesitant about extending any form of approval. I get that, and I completely understand that perspective. However, like I said in the last video before this one, we talk with our pockets and our money. If we're telling Disney that we're going to boycott their movies when they're trash, but when they actually put out something that's decent, we boycott them anyway, then what exactly are you expecting them to do? How does that make you any different than the individuals impossible to please who constantly hurl insults no matter the circumstances or the efforts made? We have to be reasonable, and sometimes in certain cases such as this, we have to be willing to leave our emotions at the door, or else nothing will be better. We'll never make progress. And this seems to be the case with directors and showrunners too. They have now become so reactionary and self-absorbed that the minute a few people mention that they don't like their movie, and a few of them just so happen to leave some ignorant comments that have nothing to do with the quality of the film, they just write everyone off who did not like the film as the pick of the day insult, which I think is very elementary.
Bitch.
Now, the article goes on to say, these days, it's become common for any movie focusing on women or people of color to be described as going woke, and the Marvels has been no exception. I'm sorry. And I understand the perspective behind labeling movies as going woke, but it's also crucial to remember why this trend exists in the first place. Minorities often find themselves used as pawns or tokens in contemporary films, and they end up as shields for studios to claim that they're not racist. And paradoxically, these movies frequently depict minorities in this negative light. They either assign them to secondary roles or they alter established characters' ethnicity. This often results in providing minorities what seems like basically leftovers and crumbs, and changing character colors as a superficial gesture. And this ends up leaving them feeling underappreciated or looking undervalued. Also, placing minorities in films with subpar quality and writing can have detrimental effects on their careers, as we've seen. The actress who plays Kamala Khan in The Marvels is likely to face challenges due to her involvement in both the underperforming Ms. Marvel show and the Marvels movie. This situation doesn't reflect a triumph for diversity, so it's important to note that the people's dissatisfaction, it's not really rooted in the actress's ethnicity. Nobody really cares about that. Rather, it stems from this whole perception that studios are taking a lazy approach, and they think that by just putting in a different ethnicity character or featuring a character of a different ethnicity, that their color is enough to add value to the movie, rather than actually making a quality film like studios used to do 10 years ago. We had already gotten to that point where actors were accepted for being good actors rather than just the color of their skin. Nobody cared as long as you entertained them. As a matter of fact, it went a long way for many communities to see these mighty A-list actors like Denzel Washington, Morgan Freeman, or Antonio Banderas. The current scrutiny towards movies and shows featuring this multitude of minorities stems from the concern that some people, or some of them, believe that a person's value is being solely attributed to their ethnicity. Like, the studios think that that's all people care about, and I get it. Many people on Twitter seem to emblazon that character to be the forefront of importance, when that's not the case for most people. There's a skepticism about the assumption that the mere inclusion of Black, Hispanic, or Chinese people guarantees automatic appreciation for a show or movie. So the emphasis is on the need for authentic storytelling and meaningful representation, rather than relying on the diversity of the cast as the sole factor for audience approval. That is the whole point of why people are saying woke. That is the whole reason why people are having an issue. And this whole mindset that, oh, if you just make people diverse, that automatically adds value to the movie, that's not the way things work. And people psychologically never respond to things being fake, or by them being strong-armed into liking something because people are telling them that they should, or better yet, or worse yet, people are putting themselves above them as entitled puppeteers and basically forcing them or peer pressuring them into leaving them good reviews, even if they don't particularly like the content that's being put out. It's giving shut up and open your mouth and suck my milk maker. Audiences and individuals generally dislike being portrayed as villains or being labeled simply because they don't enjoy a film. It's also seen as problematic when filmmakers resort to this name-calling situation without considering the possibility that their film might genuinely have shortcomings or flaws. Because that can't be possible, right? That's not in the realm of their possibility. It's not in the realm of their little bubble of perfection. They're very self-absorbed, and the woman who was director of the Marvels, she's claiming to be a longtime fan of nerdy stuff and boasting about her ability to brush off all the toxic criticism. But what exactly is the toxic criticism she's talking about? She sounds like she's pretending to be a victim.
You're a victim.
Girl, the true victims in this scenario are those who invested their money and precious time watching the movie only to end up disliking it. If she's a director, she still gets paid. As far as I know, the producer is the one who usually takes the hit if a movie flops. Like I said, I could be wrong, but the director is usually good to go, from what I know. Correct me again if I'm wrong. Naturally, this woman, the director, experiences a loss of support when she delves into the notion of pockets that are really violent and virulent and racist, portraying these negative elements as if they constitute the majority of people. Surprise, surprised they don't. If she genuinely claims to be focusing on the positive aspects, I hope this extends to considering all the other comments unrelated to the negative elements that she highlighted, because they don't represent the majority. They may be a vocal minority, but they are definitely not the majority. We know this because when a movie is good and there's some people that are still shitting on it for very ignorant reasons, the movie will do still well regardless of that fact. So Miss Director, her highlighting that is making it seem like those comments are, which is very disingenuous, and it feels like she's choosing to focus on that to victimize herself and to conveniently explain away that that's the reason why her movie didn't do well, you know, because of this very vocal minority, which funny enough, I know has the weird ass effect of not making people take you seriously. You know, you're not taking responsibility for your actions and you're not being introspective. Nobody would have even blamed the director because nobody would have cared, but when she comes out and starts pointing fingers and making it seem like there's an implication that most audience members that didn't like the movie are like this, then yes, you do put a target on your back because now you're venturing into personal territory and basically speculating as to the personality and thought processes of millions of people who you don't know.
You don't know me.
If someone chooses not to see your movie, then they choose not to see your movie. What is the issue? I wonder if these directors ever asked themselves how they would feel if they went to someone's show, or better yet, they chose not to go to someone's show. And then the person who runs the show saw them in the street and called them out of their name for not coming to see their show and not spending their hard-earned money to go and see something they weren't interested in. How would they respond to that? It's like these Hollywood elite people have no idea how to be human, or they're just completely forgotten. Even if you took away the ability to leave reviews, movies would still flop, and you know why? Because back in our parents' day, they didn't have Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff as far as I know. It was word of mouth and money in trailers, and movies still flopped. What do you suppose those directors then blame the lack of their success on? The whole thing is pretty stupid, and it's really good that audience members are waking up to this and holding them accountable. No matter how loud and annoying these directors shout about how the audience are mindless and racists, or they have a problem with the director, the actors, and that's why their movie didn't do well, it's certainly not a good tactic to get people to want your movie. If anything, the response is actually going to make more people avoid it. So good job for the whole scorched earth thing. Some people need to learn when to shut their mouth seriously if they know what's good for them or their business. I'm not saying that they should shut their mouth forever because they should have the right to say what they want, I guess. But if you want your movies to do well, don't insult the people whose money you're asking for. That is the stupidest business sense I have ever seen.
Yes, that's stupid. Use your common sense.
Unless your audience that you're catering to is into humiliation play, there's never any reason to believe that they'll trip over themselves to give you money when you insult them. That's fucking stupid. These individuals need to sit down, reflect, and invest in professionals to help elucidate why their movies didn't perform well, rather than arrogantly going on Twitter and on these articles asserting their perfection. The repercussions of not being held accountable are evident because these creators continue producing subpar films that end up flopping, only to then express shock when the audience fails to show up. Like, no amount of positive reviews that you buy and pay people to write on Rotten Tomatoes is gonna change that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This has been Ultiori. You ask, we answer.